All right, part two. You just in part one wrote your meaningful work statement, and now I'm going to ask you to take that meaningful work statement that you wrote and use it to really catapult you into the creation of your Odyssey plan. What is an Odyssey plan? We'll get there. First, for this second part, what you're going to need is some more blank paper, a notebook, whatever you've got in front of you, pencils and pens, something to write with. Okay, you'll see that I have included here the PowerPoint that we're about to go through as we're walking you through what an Odyssey plan is. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up and I'm going to walk you through it. So, Odyssey plans. What is an Odyssey plan? Now, Odyssey plans as a concept comes from the D School at Stanford, which is the design school. The design school itself does a series of different types of courses and experiences. It's really fascinating, but they have an entire program called Design Your Life. And the idea behind it is that we all have a say in what happens to our lives. Now, we don't necessarily control the circumstances that we experience. We control what we do in response to those, but we get to think about this is our life and we get to do the things that make us happy and give us meaning. Hence your meaningful work statement. So, an Odyssey plan is taking that statement and now thinking about the next 5 years of your life, which, again, I know seems a little overwhelming, but I want us to think about some ideas. Now, an Odyssey plan is not meant to build your step by step by step plan. It is not a point A to point B to point C. That's not what it is. An Odyssey plan is about thinking about the next 5 years as if it's a visual timeline, just a brainstorming opportunity for you to really start thinking about your career, start thinking about your goals. So what I'm going to get you to do now is take out a piece of paper and we're going to brainstorm. What I want you to think about is looking at that meaningful work statement. What is the thing that you want to do when you graduate college? So you are finishing your first year. Next year, you'll start your second year. Some of you are on the 4-year plan. Some of your majors are going to require you to be here a little bit longer because some majors are closer to that 5-year plan. Some of you are thinking grad school. Some of you are thinking straight to work. All of it is wonderful. So my question for you is, what are you going to do in the next 3 years of college? So sophomore, junior, senior year. And then what are you going to do in the 2 years that follow, right after you graduate? So 2 years post-graduation. I want you to start thinking about that 5-year plan. And again, this is not a point A to point B to point C. This is just all the things that you want to think about in year one, all the things that you could do in year two. Planning is important. Plans should not lock us in, though. We're not suggesting here that everything that you say that you're going to do, you're going to do. This is just a place for you to start to brainstorm. What can you do? You have the next 5 years. It's a gift. You've got these 3 years in college. What are you going to do with that time? What do you think you can do with that time? And there's so much that you can do. This is a place to start brainstorming what those things might look like. So what you're going to draw on your piece of paper, and I've also given you a template in the Canvas shell, but just to save you from having to download and print, if you want, what you're going to draw is, first of all, you're going to write title at the top because you're going to name this Odyssey plan at the end. And then you're going to have 5 boxes side by side. You can realistically just draw lines down the paper so that you've got these 5 boxes. Each box represents 1 year of your life. So year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here's an example. One of my goals is to build a scholarship program. I think that college is expensive. None of that is new information to you. I want to build a scholarship program. I want to create something that gives students opportunities to apply for and pursue a scholarship program. And I'd love for it to be part of Passport. So that is an Odyssey plan of mine. Now, let's say that I'm thinking about year 1. So in year 1, a scholarship program is going to require me to start thinking about grant funds. That is often where scholarship funding comes from. Not always, but that is primarily where scholarship funding is coming from. It's coming from nonprofits or organizations that have grant funds that they put out. So part 1 would be that I want to take a grant writing class. I need to get familiar with the process. I need to understand the language. I need to understand how this process works to write a proposal and all the things. And I need to sit down and think about my overall goals. And then I need to write a need statement. So a need statement is a 1-page statement that defines why this is necessary. And I could write a ton of stuff about why scholarships are necessary. You can see that I have tried to draw a book. I've tried to draw a pencil. I'm not an artist, but again, this is my visual and I'm just having some fun. So realistically, year one, it's a planning year, right? I'm thinking about, okay, what do I need to do to get started? Year two is where I start to do some research. So year one, I planned. Year two, I might need to start thinking about where this funding is going to come from. So I'm going to do some research. I'm going to identify potential funding sources. Then I'm going to narrow my list down to a top three because realistically, there are so many funders out there. How do I get to the real, just true nature of what provider, what nonprofit, what funding source best aligns with what I'm trying to do? So if their mission statement is X, does my need statement, does it align with their mission statement? If it doesn't, I'm not likely to get funding. So I need to really focus on identifying the top three potential funding sources. Then I need to research because anytime you write a grant fund, I know that there is an RFP process, which is request for proposal. So I need to think about what the RFP looks like for these top three funders. So if I identify that the Gates Foundation is one source, great. If I identify that the Marinkus camp or the Marinkus family or the Belk family, that these are potential funding sources, then I need to look at specifically what their RFP process looks like. So year one, planning, year two, research. Year three is write. So I've got all the information I need through year one and year two. Year three, we got to write all the things, right? We got to write an LOI, which is a letter of intent. I've got to write a proposal, which is a narrative that breaks down what we need. I've got to define a budget and a budget narration, which has gotten cut off here. I have to write a cover letter. I have to write an executive summary. I have to write an abstract. There's just a lot of pieces that go into this. And because I'm going to seek to apply to 3 different funding sources, I'm probably going to have to write this 3 times. Now, I'll be modifying, it won't be as much, but it's going to probably take the better part of that year just to do the writing. Year 4, I'm hoping by year 4 I've got my scholarship locked down, and now I'm planning. So I have a planning year. And this is where I would sit down with financial aid, I'd sit down with the scholarships office and start to think about how we do this. How do we define the parameters? How do I create check-in procedures for recipients? How do I identify who my recipients are? I've got to identify these scholars, right? And then year 5, the goal would be in year 5, I want to bring my first class of scholars to campus. I want to have them here enroll, getting those funds. I want to start monitoring their performance and writing reports, doing the data collection and assessment, because obviously if I get grant funds, I have to prove that it was meaningful, that it was worth it. So I have to go back to the funding source and submit a report that shows how their funds were used and how it's been helpful for students. And then, implement check-ins to do that and ultimately write the report. So this is the 5-year plan of the things that I would do. Now, this for me, while this feels like step A to step B, yes, absolutely, mine does. But yours doesn't have to. Again, Odyssey plans are not for you to do that necessarily. For me, it makes sense because of what I would like to do. But for you, it could just be that you're writing down things that you care about, things that you could do at this time. And I'll show you some examples from students that'll get really do that in just a sample. A second. Ugh, can't talk today. Okay, the last thing that you're going to do is you're going to gauge where you're at. So you're going to create a gauge on your paper that is a resource gauge, a gauge called I like it, a confidence gauge, and a coherence gauge. Okay, under resources, so I have I've drawn my arrow kind of midway between the midpoint and the 100% mark, which means that I have some resources at this point in time. I don't have enough. I need more. So I'm drawing my arrow there to show that I need some more resources. Do I like it? Is this a goal that I care about, that means something to me? These 5 years, absolutely. This is a huge goal of mine. Confidence level. I'm a rookie at this. I have never written a full-fledged grant proposal for a scholarship program. This is a brand new endeavor. It's exciting, but it's also very, very scary because I've never done it before. So I am confidence-wise close to that midway range, but not totally there yet. And then coherence is going to speak to my alignment with my meaningful work statement. Does this plan, does it align with my meaningful work statement? And it does. It is not, obviously, my meaningful work statement is about helping students find their potential, and that's not this Odyssey plan. But this Odyssey plan gets to a goal that I have that will help students. Students, if they need to pursue a college degree, cost is a barrier. So this does directly align with my meaningful work statement. Let's say another example was you wanted to create a nonprofit organization. Maybe year one, you want to read, you want to check out books at the library, you want to be admitted, maybe you're a pre-business student, you want to be admitted into the management major, you want to connect with the career center coaches for social impact career communities, you want to write your resume, get it approved, you want to volunteer at the men's shelter, which is a nonprofit, you want to volunteer, you want to prototype with directors, which means that you want to sit down with the directors and talk to them about what they did and how they got where they are. And then you want to secure an internship for spring semester. So these are very just cut and dried, clear things that you could potentially do year one, year two, year three. Year four, maybe you're writing a business plan. So you're asking for help from your connections. You're identifying potential funders. You're reading up on grant funds and fundraising efforts. And then maybe in year four, this is when you graduate. So that's a big deal. Year five, maybe you're writing grant proposals. You're building a coalition. You're starting to test the need. You're making business plans. So again, just another example of a 5-year breakdown of what you could do in the next 5 years. Let's look at student plans though, because I think this will be more relevant to you and your experience. All right. This is a student from a former passport class, wanted to be a kindergarten teacher, which is super cool. She's shown you that she did this for me when she was a sophomore. In junior year, she wanted to continue to work hard, make A's, pass all of her classes, looking into reading books on how to teach. She wanted to keep taking classes in that year two, which was her senior year, student teaching, and ultimately graduate. Year three, she wanted to get a job, super important, and to get ready for the fall. Year four, wants to continue to learn and grow, and year four, that was, and then year five, wanted to continue to grow and keep working on doing the right thing for her students. Here's another example. This particular person's ultimate goal was to be a personal fitness trainer. So in year one, she wanted to become CPR certified. She wanted to look into certifications. Year two, she's thinking about an exam that she would have to take. Year three, she's building that portfolio. She's getting experience at gyms, building a client roster, making connections. Year four is getting a job, starting to think about her own business, opening up her own gym maybe. And then year five would be, as she's put it, change lives. She wants a website. She wants her client list to be strong, and she wants to talk about their stories and their journeys. Another student is looking to, in year one, she wants to declare security as her concentration. So in computer science, in year two, you're still taking some of those first computer classes, and then junior year is when you actually declare her concentration. She wanted to pick a minor. She wants to do an internship. Obviously, year two, she's going to graduate, start her, as she puts it, big girl job. She wants to get her first paycheck. She's climbing the ladder, starting to think about, she's got even in here adopting and fostering pets that need homes. So realistically, these next 5 years, she's got a lot going on, which is so cool. Another student wants to ultimately teach at CPCC, and that's, if you look all the way to year five, you can see that she's teaching as fluent in Spanish courses at the Levine campus, which is pretty cool. So sophomore year, she's finishing general education. She's doing some summer school, working, getting scholarships. She is applying for internships. You can see just a ton of really cool stuff. In year three, she's already applying for her master's degree. So the student's doing human resources. He's thinking about in year one becoming a Niner guide, a tour guide, really improving his communication skills, continuing to invest in stock at one point, looking for connections, just doing some really cool things. This one is my all-time favorite. So this student is breaking down for you even specifics with what classes she needs to take and applying to master's programs and passing her board so that she can become a certified athletic trainer. This is my all-time favorite. You can see that she put past chemistry on here because this was a really big concern for her. But her goal was to get accepted into the exercise science program, which she did, which is super cool. She headed into year two, her junior year, starting to shadow athletic trainers, getting an internship, researching those master's programs in year three, applying, getting accepted, and then the specific courses that she would take and her clinicals. So again, Odyssey plans, 5-year plans that really map out some different things that you can do. Use this time, use these 4 years in college, use that next year. do the things that make you proud and happy and start planning. Good luck.